Okay, so let me show you how to do mean absolute deviation using your calculator. So this is the first set of data that is on the right side page of your notes, right next to this note page. And I have mine in color because it's going to help us identify where the buttons are. You can always go back and color code yours if that helps as well. So our first step is to put in our data set. So we have to hit the Stat button, Edit, and then under L1, we're going to type in our data values. So on your calculator, right here is your Stat button. So I'm going to press my Stat button, and you are going to see that you have this list. So our first one is Edit. You can press Enter or you can press the number 1. I'm going to press the number 1. And you'll see I already have some data in here. If you have data in yours, then there are 2 ways you can get rid of it. You can go up to the title of the column, press Clear, and Enter. Or you can simply just reset your calculator. So second plus 7, 1, and 2, and it will reset and say RAM cleared. So I'm going to go back to my Stat and Edit. And now I'm going to type in this data set from my table. So I have 20, and then press Enter, 50, Enter. Go through and type them all in. Once you have them all in, you'll see that the next blank line says L1 and 8. That means that there are 7 numbers above that in my data set. So let's make sure we have 7 values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that tells me I have all of my data sets in there. So the next thing that I need to find is my mean. So to find the data mean, you're going to go to Stat, arrow over, and then Calc. So I'm going to hit my Stat button. Up here, you will see Calc on your screen. If you use this arrow over to the right, it will highlight that file. So now you'll see option 1 says 1 var stats. That is going to be where our information is. So I'm going to press 1. Our current data is in list 1 in our table, so I can leave it and press Enter, Enter, and Enter. From here, you will notice you have a whole bunch of information. N equals 7 tells you that there are 7 values in your list. That's something that's good to check. And then the other thing that's nice that you will need right here is the mean. So we talked about in class that this X with the bar over it is our symbol for the mean. So mean for our data is 60. Now that we have our mean, you're going to want to jot that down. So you have your table, and you'll want to put 60 in each of these spots. Or you can just write it once and draw an arrow all the way down. Either way is perfectly fine. So you can write it all in this if you want to. So now we're going to go back and we're going to work on calculating the distance or the differences. So when we did this with by hand, we went through and did 20 minus 60 and 50 minus 60, and we calculated them and then turned them all to their positive values. So let me show you how you can do this in your calculator. So step 3 is finding the distance from the mean. So we're going to go to Stat and back to Edit. So Stat and then Edit. And we're going to go up to L2. So we're going to go over to the right, and then we want to go up so that we are highlighted on L2. We want to be on L2 completely. From there, we can hit the type in the mean and then type in L1. So we know our mean is 60, and you'll see it's going to be right here at the bottom of your screen, minus, and then we're going to type in L1, which is going to subtract everything from list 1 for 60. So to get to L1, that's going to be right here in blue above the 1. So that's going to be a second and 1. So second and 1, and it'll say L1. And then press Enter and watch the magic happen. Goes through and it calculates all of those differences for you, much faster than doing it all by hand. From there, we need to turn these all into absolute values. So you could go through and type them all in if you wanted to by hand. Or you can do similar to what we did with L2, and it will populate the whole column. So we're going to go up to L3, which is right here, and we're going to go to second and 0. So you'll see in blue above 0, it says catalog. So second, 0. And then that very first one says ABS, and that stands for absolute value. So we're going to press Enter. You'll see that it's selected with the arrow next to it. My calculator is going to look a little bit different, but yours will say ABS with parentheses. Mine has the absolute value symbol with bars. And my data is in L2. So now I'm going to do second and 2. And then press Enter. And now you will see that we have all of our positive values, all of our distances from the mean in positive form. So that's that step. Then our final step is to find the mean of that differences. So we are going to go back to Stat, over to Calc, and press 1. But our data is no longer in L1 that we want the mean. Our data is in L3. So we're going to go to second and 3, and then enter, enter, enter. And we are going to get our mean right here, which is 22.857. And we can round it to 22.9, and that is your mean absolute deviation. So that is your mean absolute deviation. So that's the mean of the distance of those data from the mean. So now let's do another example. So we are going to clear our calculator. So you could clear each column, but honestly, the fastest way is to do second plus and 7, 1, 2. So second plus 7, 1, and 2. And it will say that the RAM is cleared. Now we're going to do the table that is below for our next example. So we have this data set right here. So we're going to go back to Stat and Edit, and we're going to type in our information. So we have 110, 114, go through and type in all of these data sets. Okay, so this says L111, which means I have 10 values above. So let's make sure we have all of our values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it's always good to make sure that you have all of your numbers typed in correctly, because you're not going to find the correct mean absolute deviation if you have typos in your data. So now we need to go find the data's mean. So we're going to go to Stat, over to Calc, option 1. Our data is in L1 and we can calculate. So we have n equals 10, that's 10 values, and our mean is 108.4. This value right here underneath this symbol right here means the sum of x. So this is the sum of all of our values, and then you divide by 10 to find the mean. So our mean is 108.4. So you want to write that down so that you have that information. Otherwise, you may forget. So then you go back to Stat and Edit. We're going to go over and up, and we are going to type in 108.4 minus L1. You could do L1 minus 108.4. It honestly does not matter. And we're going to press enter, and there are all of our distances calculated for us. Then we're going to go to the absolute value step, go over and up to L3, second 0, enter. Our data is in L2, so second 2, and enter. Now they're all in their positive form. And then last but not least, we're going to go to Stat, over to Calc, option 1, and then L3. And then our answer is that 3.4. I do want to show you that there is a way to do steps of the distance and the absolute value in one step. So I will show you that just for those who would like to do it this way, and it works either way. But we can combine the absolute value and the distance from the mean in one step. So we can do second 0, press enter, and then we can type in our mean minus L1, and it will automatically calculate all of the differences and put it in its absolute value form for you. Now, when you go to find the mean, you will not use L3, you will use L2 because your data is now in L2. So you would do second 2 and press calculate. So that is how you do mean absolute deviation with your calculator. If you want some help on this, or it went a little fast, go back and watch it again and pause it between each step and practice it. And also use your handout from your notes, this one right here. If you want to color code it to help you see them, do so. But it literally gives you the step by step to make sure and things to look for. Go through and do the ones that we did in the notes to make sure you get the same answer. And then you have the 2 on the right side page that you're going to do on your own to check for your understanding. Let me know if you have any questions.